All right, hello. So this is a collective messages video. I actually took a very long break from doing them. I feel like it's been months, maybe even a year. It didn't feel right to me doing them because I was worried about people's discernment and ability to understand the information in them. But lately I've been feeling more guided to starting to do them again. So before I get started, just some points not some points, some like things that might help you know if this might resonate with you is, so I have a few songs. We got Ain't No Way by Aretha Franklin and I Am Telling You by Jennifer Holliday. We have Song for You by Donny Hathaway and At Last by Etta James. You might be someone who enjoys listening to lots of soul, someone who likes listening to lots of Motown. You may be someone who had kind of a Christian upbringing, but like maybe something was different about it, or or you may have diverted away from that. And at times you may find yourself looking back on it or like still finding it useful, but it's not your like primary direction of faith at the moment. And let me see, what else? Yeah, no, that's all that I have for now. So I'm gonna start with the Supra Oracle deck, pull some cards from there. But reminder that this is a collective message. Take what resonates, and if it don't resonate, then leave it. It wasn't meant for you. It was meant for somebody else. Forgotten. Fire. Water and Gnosis. Deus Ex Machina on the bottom. So from these cards, I feel like someone may have forgotten what the source of their fire is, what the source of their drive is, what allows them to keep going. It's like there's a lake and there's a river that goes into the lake, but then someone built a dam to prevent that source of water from flowing. And so then this lake is slowly drying up because it's like water is life. Fire is like your passion, it's your soul. And so when you forget what the source of your passion is, when you forget what your source of life is, when you forget why you're here, when you forget why you chose to be here in the first place. Like, you may be someone who resonates with the idea that before we're born, our soul chooses the reason that we come here. But because death is such a, not death, birth. Well, the birth and death, they're like the same, basically. Endings and beginnings are the same. But because birth, being born, being created, is a traumatic experience, you forget the reason that you chose to be here. And so I feel that part of the reason that you're drawn to this video is because you are someone who is in great need of a reason to be here, of a reason to keep going, like you need a source of life. You need a reason. You may be lacking in love for yourself, lacking in love being poured into you. You may be lacking in any kind of passion and drive. You may be going through like a period of depression. Like, this is hard. And I feel like there is someone out there who is just like really struggling, like deeply. And I'm kind of here to tell you that, one, usually when you're at the point of deep struggle like that, of questioning why you're even here, you're lost. Your soul is lost. But aside from that, usually in those circumstances, in those moments, it's because there's a part of you that you know needs to go. Part of you, not your full self, but just like a little bit of you, like a little crumb of your soul, or like there's a portion of you that either needs to go, like that either needs to die off, or that you need to accept as what it is, and this could be previous behaviors that you've taken on in relationships that you've been in, because in life, as you go through different situations, if you're placed in a traumatic situation, you adapt and you build and you change the way that you interact with the world, and you adapt these behaviors because you're trying to survive. You're trying to make it through whatever situation it is that you've been in. You just want to make it out. But then once you're out of that scenario, it's because you've grown so used to these behaviors and these patterns and these feelings, that's just your default. That becomes your default. It becomes just what you do. Like it's like you end up navigating your relationships on autopilot, navigating your life on autopilot, using the behaviors that you have created to adjust to the situation in the past. And so imagine a jar, like a mason jar, right? And so you were put in this jar, and while you were in it, you were surrounded by all these walls, like someone put you in there, someone made you shrink. It's like you were a full-size person, and then someone shrunk you, and they put you in a jar so that you could, and because for some reason, they didn't want you around. They weren't like accepting of you. Maybe they even hurt you. So maybe you put yourself in the jar. Either way, you were put in this container. Or maybe you put yourself in there. I don't know. But you were put in this container with the lid on. And in that container, you just surround yourself. But while you're in there, this person is on the outside telling you all these things about yourself, right? But because all you know is what's in the jar, that's like all that you're comfortable with. Or imagine you're put in this jar, in this like isolated situation, in this like isolated connection with someone, and in the jar, you're both in the jar, right? And so while you're in there, you figure out how to protect yourself in that jar. When you're in this isolated space, when you're stuck with them, you figure out what you need to do to survive, how to get through it, how to shift yourself, how to like free yourself. And eventually that person somehow is removed from the jar, and then it's just you in the jar, and it's your own jar, and like the lid is off, so they leave, but you're still there. And like you could choose to remove yourself, but instead you stay in that jar. You stay with all those walls built up. You stay in there, and it's like someone's in this jar and they just like have like they're like crying, like rivers of tears. They're crying and crying and crying and crying. And next thing you know, they're going to drown in their own emotional despair when the jar has been open the whole time. You know, like you could climb out of it. You could, like, but I have the feeling that this jar is in a space in a room. Maybe the lights are off, and so you can't see that the lid has been removed. Like, you can't see that the other person isn't around anymore. And so, like, maybe someone comes in and tries to help you out of it, but instead of like taking their hand and embracing them and oh my god, maybe you guys might have some issues with like speaking your needs and speaking up and just like saying when you need help, you know, like when you need that assistance. I definitely get that feeling from this group. Not this group, this is not a pick a card, this is a collective reading. Anyway, I get this feeling from this person. But someone reaches in and they offer you a hand. They offer to help pull you out of that, pull you out of what's happening. But because you don't realize the other person's gone, you push them away and then you keep drowning, you know. And then eventually that person goes and turns on the lights and you look around and you're like, wait, that other person's not there. Like, I'm free, you know, like I could be free, but you're still struggling to get out because at this point the jar has so much water in it that you can't release, like that you've become exhausted, you know, like you've become so drained and exhausted from trying to float in this jar of your tears, you know, that you don't even have the energy to, because the person that turned on the lights, they might still be there, but you don't have the energy to reach out. You don't have the energy to call to them. You don't have the energy to be like, could you come back? Could you help me? Like, I need you, you know? And this whole thing is a metaphor. It could apply to you. I mean, like I said, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. And so I feel that continuing with this jar story, in the jar, you're here, you're drowning in the water. The person is still on the other side of the room by the light switch. They're still there. They haven't left yet because they're like looking around the room. They're like, what's in here? They're very curious, I guess. There's a lot. They're questioning. They have like, they have some insights. They want to know what's going on. They want to know why you wouldn't take their hand. So they're going to look around. They're going to walk around and they're going to like try to figure out what's going on. Okay. But while that's happening, imagine inside of you, there's a little flame, there's a little spark. It's in there, right? It might be really small because, again, this is someone who's struggling. And so it's probably a really, really tiny flame, like on a match, not even like a huge bonfire. It's a little flame. But I feel that because you see there's a person, you see that there's hope. Like, you realize the lights are on, you realize the other person's gone, and that there could be hope for your future, right? And so what you do is you focus really hard on finding that fire again. You feel it inside. If you have just a little spark can become a whole fire. It can become a flame. It can become a bonfire. Like, you could have a wildfire from just a little spark. Okay. And this person coming around, it's like once in a lifetime, like you don't know when someone else is going to come through. You don't know when there's going to be someone else that could help you out. And so you focus on trying really hard to find that passion and that drive within you again. You build the fire up inside yourself more and more and more. And as you build it up, you get hotter. You get like, you get so hot and so fiery that the water around you can't put you out. It's like to the point where the water in the jar evaporates because of how fiery you are. But then you're still stuck inside. But you're no longer drowning. You just, maybe you feel empty or something, or like stuck, but the person's still there. And so at this point, because when you're drowning, it's not like you can like say much, because you're like bobbing your head, you're trying to like stay afloat. But once you find the fire and you evaporate all or most of this water, you're able to call out for assistance. You're able to ask for the help that you need. Okay. And this person actually like hears you, and they're like, oh my God, there you want me to come get you? Okay. All you have to do is ask. And so then they reach their hand in and they cradle you for a little bit, and you are put out of the jar, you're put on the ground, and then maybe they feed you some cake like in Alice in Wonderland. And you suddenly grow much bigger, and now you fit the scenario, and now you're on even fields, and you can choose to stay here with whoever pulled you out of this jar, or you can choose to move on with your life and keep going. But regardless, you're out. And it's thanks to this outside assistance that you've been freed from the circumstances surrounding you being stuck in that jar. But being freed is what happens. Someone can't just come save you. You need to be open to it. You need to want it. You need to meet them halfway. Like, if someone is reaching out their hand for you to pull you out, but you push them away, you hit it, you refuse, they can't force you to come out. But you can choose to take the opportunity, to take the chance, and to keep going, okay? And hopefully never get in a jar again. Remember how you got in there in the first place, and remind yourself that you value yourself more. Or, yeah, you value yourself to the point where you won't let yourself get in that situation again. And also, the person who pulled you out the jar would not put you in one in the first place, because they don't want you in there. All right? And then with this, I also feel that this group is going to be having some massive revelations, some massive realizations, gnosis, if you will, because we do have gnosis here, and Deus Ex Machina. So I feel like some things might happen magically, remarkably, that just somehow put you where you need to be. Maybe you feel like God has forgotten you. That was a channel. I did not even think when I said that. Maybe you think you've been forgotten. The answer is no, you have not been forgotten. It's reminding me of the story of the man who's in the boat, and he prays and prays and prays, and he's like, God, come save me. Come save me. And then 3 boats pass by him, and he ignores all of them because he wants God to come in personally and save him. But that's not how that works. You were being saved by these boats that were coming by. That was the assistance. Don't miss your boat. Don't miss the ship when it comes. If you are in that situation and someone offers you help, take it. That's that. So, enough of boats. Don't suffer in silence. But enough of boats. I'm going to pull some cards from a different deck. Oh, maybe I should keep these out. I'll keep these out on the side. Yes. Okay. This is I have so many decks out right now. Cosmovisions Tarot. Cosmovisions. I just got it today, actually, and I love it. We resonate deeply. You might have a spring birthday. I'm getting Taurus, Aries, Gemini. What is this? This card just came out. It's the Three of Trees, which is Three of Pentacles. There's a lot to learn. Just because you eat one rotten apple doesn't mean they're all going to be terrible. Just because one person was terrible doesn't mean everyone else will be. Keep moving forward. Just keep swimming. That's what I tell myself all the time. When things are confusing and I don't understand what's going on, I just tell myself, just keep swimming, because you get confirmation in the moment.
No, what's up, Feather?
You get confirmation in the moment, but clarity comes in retrospect. Yeah, clarity comes in retrospect. Just keep swimming and you'll figure it out later. You'll figure out why later. Listen to yourself. And if you've like numbed yourself to avoid feeling the feelings of drowning, that prevents you from processing and dealing with what's there, and that keeps you stuck. Process process it in some way. Find a way. It could be unconventional. Oh, sorry. Six of Lotuses. The Fighter. It's too many cards. The Peacock. Peacock. It's Dream World. And this is Death, which is the Fool. And then we have the Swan here. So this deck does not have the traditional names of the major arcana. The Peacock is the Empress. Dream World is a card created by the author, artist. And Death is the Fool. And I believe the Fighter, I'll look up what the Fighter is. The Fighter... The Mystic, Commander, Peacemaker, Mender, Entertainer. The Fighter. The Fighter is the Knight of Swords. Impulsive, vengeful, quick to act. Head in the clouds, the Fighter is impulsive and quick to act. They take no direction from others and live for one reason: to overcome adversity. If you see the Fighter in a reading, ask if every battle is worth the brawl or if passivity can lend a more helpful hand. If others have found you to be impulsive in your actions, this can easily be perceived as vengeful behavior. No one wants to be known as the one who is constantly picking fights for the sake of taking action. With the Six of Lotuses and the Fighter, I feel like this is not your natural state of being. I feel like because of past experiences and like kind of being in survival modes for so long, you've like taken these thought processes from the past, not thought processes, it's like you've become so hypervigilant. You've become so hypervigilant that as soon as you see anything that looks a little suspicious or looks a little weird, like a little bit too similar to what has happened in the past, you slam that door. Like, you're like, all right, that's enough. And you like will impulsively be like, good, I'm good. And cut it off, even if it's something that's good for you. And with the like Peacock and Dream World here, Um, it also kind of feels like when this opportunity comes your way, or like the person that pulls you out the jar, when they come around, it's like with the peacock in the dream world, it's like, this is too good to be true. Because when you see a peacock, like the phrase peacocking, think of peacocking. It's like when someone tries to seem bigger, better, badder than they actually are. Like making themselves seem bigger. And with Dream World, it's like, there's no way someone's here to help me. Last person I trusted put me in here in the first place. So you're probably going to take me out and just throw me on the ground and step on me. So why should I let you in here? Yeah, you might be someone who dabbles in psychedelics sometimes. I'm drawn to there's mushrooms on this card. I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying you might dabble occasionally, or more than occasionally. I don't know. But anyway, this door, look at this picture. Look at this. There's this entryway here, and you could walk through this door and enter a whole new world. You can walk through this door and enter Dream World. The world of your dreams, the place that you've always wanted to be. A place full of stability and happiness and emotional understanding and reflection and empathy and compassion. You could be there. But because of your fear, because of how you've been mistreated in the past, and this is not to blame you for it, this happened, and people react in the ways that they do for a reason. Trauma is valid, your emotions are valid, but we also need to take time to analyze why we react the way that we do. Why, take some time to check in with reality and what's actually happening. And this is not to blame you for anything, or not to say that in the past, the things that happened in the past were let me just back up. This is not to blame you, but it is to say that after you are out of those situations, what happened. You can accept that it happened. It's unfortunate, it sucks, and you should not have had to go through whatever you went through. That is not it's not okay, it's not cool, it shouldn't have happened, right? But it did. And so then you have to accept it. And when you accept it, then you can take the time to look within and figure out how you're going to respond to the events that happen to you. How will you respond to the trauma? How will you process it? How will you work through the behaviors that you developed so that you're able to function in life, so that you're able to have meaningful relationships, so that you're able to have that stable foundation that you're deserving of. You don't have to set fire to everything around you to be safe. That just doesn't make sense. If everything's on fire, how are you going to make it out? You're going to set yourself on fire. You're going to self-destruct, And I feel like that part of this giving up and feeling forgotten is will I ever have love? Will love ever find me? Am I even worthy of it? And the answer is yes, but you cannot receive it. You cannot get it. You cannot, it can't reach you because you are so closed off from receiving it, because you are so, in Ain't No Way for me to love you if you don't let me. And so people can only love you as much as you let them. As much as you allow. And if you're constantly pushing people away, then no one will ever love you and you'll never feel loved. But the question is, why do you feel like you don't deserve the love? Maybe someone made you feel that way before. But if someone's trying to give you love now, doesn't mean, like, it's not a box full of death that you're being given. It's not like in Eros and Psyche, in the story of them, when Aphrodite, goddess of love, sent Psyche on all of these very difficult tasks, and the last one was a trick, where Aphrodite was like, go to Hades and ask Persephone for a box, like, ask her to put some of her beauty in this box. And she knew that Psyche would look in it, and then she looked in it, and guess what was in it? It was death. The box was full of death. And so Psyche, like, died, but then she was brought back by Eros, the god of love. Because he loved her so deeply that he brought her back. And so part of this is, like, when you are ready to give up, when you are right at this edge, something will come through and pull you out of it. Even when you're at your end. Is this feeling very near-death experience? Like, which makes sense. I've been experiencing feeling like my life is flashing before my eyes the past few weeks. It's been weird. Okay. But when there's no such thing as a near-death experience, because if you were going to die, it would have happened. Not to be morbid, but it would have happened already, you know? So if you're still here, there's a reason for it. There's something you're supposed to be doing. There's a direction that you're supposed to be going in. There is purpose. Okay? And if you make it through whatever hardship you feel like is destroying you, then you just come out brand new. You're a phoenix. You've been reborn, renewed, fully. Giving Scorpio. I'm a Scorpio. Oh, look, the Phoenix. I love that. And this is actually the Hierophant. So the Phoenix is actually the, like, highest form of Scorpio energy, I believe, in Vedic astrology. And even though this is the Hierophant technically, so this is like a combination of, like, Taurus Scorpio energy, which is interesting. We just had those eclipses, so that makes sense. So maybe through this eclipse you're going through this huge rebirth. Yeah. And with the Swan, there's much to learn. And also with the purpose in life, one, you're not meant to be alone, because the Swan is a bird that, like, mates, like, when they find their mate, they're with them forever. You know, they mate for life. And so one, be very protective of what you care about. Be very protective of what you love. Because they're also fiercely protective of their young, of their nest, of everything. Be protective of what's yours. Don't let it go. Don't let your dreams go. Regardless of what it is. Maybe your dream is to, like, have a house and have, like, a dog and, like, 2 cats and, like, have some goats on a farm and have all your friends around and also have, like, your lover in your cabin and you all live, like, on a little commune in the woods. Maybe that's what you want. Don't let go of that dream. Maybe you're supposed to have it. Because remember, when you're born, you forget. But part of you still remembers. That's your intuition, I think. That's my theory. My theory is that it's your intuition. And when you're guided towards things, like when you feel an urge to do something, like when you deeply really want something, it's because that thing is on your path that you chose for yourself. It's because you're supposed to go down that road. Don't let fear stop you. Don't let distrust, like, because I feel like this group just has, if things are nice, if things are good, you just don't trust them. Like, you always feel like there's some type of ulterior motives being given to you. But no, that is not the case. Pull some more cards. One at a time, please. 7 of Embers. Another Phoenix. Look at that. Don't give up. The Vessel. Seven of Lotuses. Ten of Embers. Infinite Paths. And the Crow. I'm thinking of I'm being drawn to Odin. You know a lot. You are an infinite depth and well of knowledge. This could be spiritual knowledge, it could be academic knowledge, it could be anything, but your mind is expansive and ever growing. And I feel like you hide this from people. Like maybe you feel insecure about how great your brain is, and how maybe you feel like you're not as smart as you think you are. Maybe you feel like this feels like major imposter syndrome to me, because I just get the feeling that the people in this group are wildly amazing and innovative and creative and knowledgeable. Like I'm getting like Hierophant, like established, long built, like deserved knowledge. I think you are knowledgeable about hard facts. I think you're also knowledgeable about yourself. I think you're also knowledgeable in the spiritual sense, even though you may not like be aware of your knowledge. Like it gives the feeling of someone who's like spiritual, but like in a mundane way in their day-to-day life, you know, not someone who necessarily is like, I'm gonna meditate and go read these books and like do yoga or whatever, but like the way that you live your life, there is spirituality intertwined in it. And so with the Seven of Embers, the Vessel, the Seven of Lotuses, there is a path meant for you. So the Seven of Embers, and there's 2 sevens, and then there's the Vessel, which is 15, which adds up to 6. And so after the Devil, because the Vessel is the Devil tarot card. After the Vessel, after the Devil is the Star. And so, oh, this makes so much sense. So we have the Seven of Embers with the Phoenix here, right? And I was just talking about how you're trapped in a jar. And look, this is a jar. You've been trapped in here, okay? But you have to set fire to your... Listen, set your whole life on fire. Uproot. You need to uproot. You need to release. You need to leave. You need to wipe the slate clean. You need to dive into what is holding you back. Because with the Seven of Lotuses here, I honestly feel like, oh, you know what? The Seven of Lotuses and the 10 of Embers, I feel like you are holding on to all this stuff and taking on all these responsibilities that you do not need to take on. That you are carrying to... Honestly, I feel like you're carrying them because you feel like they're your lifeline. Like you're holding on to them because you feel like you need to in order to like have a desire to keep going. But the reality is these things are what are like what's holding you back from finding that like real fulfillment, you know? Because I think these things make you feel... I think these things make you feel needed. I think they make you feel like cared for. I think they not cared for. I think they make you feel needed. I think they make you feel necessary. I think they make you feel like you have purpose. But at the same time, they're draining you. Like they're holding you back, really. And so you need to release yourself, because this is not how life has to be. You don't have to be here. You don't have to be stuck in this moment. You have infinite paths and possibilities available to you. There's so many things that you could do. It's your life. Don't let obligations to other people... Not saying, like, obviously be a good person and, like, show up when you need to. Show up for the people who care about you. Show up and, like, do what you have to do. But you don't have to stay stuck. Things don't have to be this way. You don't have to keep doing things that you don't really care about. Where is the drive? Where is your fire? You're a phoenix. Where's the fire? You're supposed to be made of fire. I just heard, I'll set all this shit on fire. I'll let it all go. What's there to lose? Why stay in this situation when you are dying on the inside, when you could free yourself from it, go somewhere else, maybe move, I don't know, release it, let it go, because you know that beyond all this stuff, I hate the 7 of lotuses with the 10 of embers. I hate that, because it's all this stuff, none of this stuff matters. It's like you're carrying a bunch of miscellaneous, it's like you're carrying a bunch of miscellaneous shit that you don't need, that you just picked up along the way because why not? But you don't need it. Do you want it or do you need it? You want it, but why do you want it? What is the reason? Is it helping you? Is it adding to your burden? Like, what is it doing for you? If it's just there because you're trying to distract yourself from carrying your own stuff, if you're carrying all of these miscellaneous things, but leaving a pile of like 5 of your own things on the side for the sake of carrying these other things, then that's not good or healthy, and it's just avoidance. It's purely avoidance. And it's probably based out of fear of seeing yourself, fear of facing yourself, fear of realizing that you've been doing yourself dirty part of this way. Not the whole way, but part of it. Fear of seeing how maybe you have made mistakes. But here's the thing. It's okay to make mistakes. We all mess up. It's fine. You accept it. You keep going. We make mistakes. People make mistakes. We're human. We're not robots. We aren't God. We aren't Jesus. We aren't Buddha. We aren't Shiva. We are naming all these deities. We aren't perfect. We are humans. We're meant to make mistakes, learn from them, keep going, okay? And honestly, sometimes when someone makes a mistake and then they just keep dwelling on it and they just keep like focusing on how bad of a person it makes them, that is preventing the growth and preventing the healing. Because like, yeah, you made a mistake. It happened. What can you do next time to do better? How can you show up better for yourself and for the other people around you? So under the crow was the 10 of trees, which is the 10 of pentacles. And so I think you know in your gut that there is this happy, foundational, familial connect, like, you know that this dream of having a family, a solid, connected, grounded, like living all in one place family, like that exists. But I think because you have never fully known it, you worry with the 8 of birds that it's not possible for you. And so then I feel like you create this storm of chaos around you everywhere you go, because you're so afraid of the stability. You're so afraid of things being calm. You're afraid that if you're in a calm situation, that you're just gonna mess everything up, because you've never been in you've never been in this peaceful situation, so you don't know how. And being in these situations can be triggering, so maybe you're afraid of it. But with past lives, this is death. With this, part of you knows that it's there for you. Like, part of you deep in there knows. But you just have to let yourself have it and lean into it. Let yourself look forward to it. Have an ego death. And I also feel with the Entertainer, I was just pulling from the bottom of the deck, that I was just talking about carrying all these miscellaneous things. It's like you're juggling all this stuff because you are afraid of yourself. It's like you're afraid of your own light, but not your light. It's like you're afraid of the dark parts of yourself, but the dark parts of yourself are actually are actually like your light. You know, like your shadow aspects are really positive, but people have made you feel like they aren't. So to avoid looking at them and embracing them and integrating them into yourself, you juggle all this stuff from other people. And we're at 46 minutes, so I'm gonna, is there more? No, I'm gonna pull some closing messages, and then that will be the end. Or, actually, no, closing messages. Okay, what closing messages do we have? What messages do we have to close out with? 8 of birds. 4 of lotuses. 7 of birds. The peacock. 2 of trees. And the veil. Don't let the fear of the unknown, don't let fear of being, see, okay, here's the thing. The thing you went through already happened. The chances of it happening again, you already learned, it already happened. What's happening next, like the chances of it happening again are slim. The universe wants you to succeed. They want things to go well. If you've learned what you need to learn, you don't need to learn that lesson again. It will not be sent your way again. It's like, and it's not even just a, like, the universe won't do it, but it's like, you know what to look for. Like, you know bad signs, you know early signs, like, actually, like, that aren't just, like, minuscule things, like, they chew their food wrong, or, like, they were a little too friendly to that person, or whatever. Like, you know real signs. You know what to look for. But I think you get so caught up in your head and the anxiety. All these birds, they're all anxious thoughts. Each bird represents an anxious thought. They keep you going in this spiral, this downward spiral. Keeps you going. But you can't ignore the anxiety. You can't ignore the thoughts. Y'all need some therapy. I'm not joking. I'm in therapy. But y'all, like some tangible stuff, like writing. Y'all need some worksheets is what you need. So anyway, with the 4 of lotuses here, it's like pushing down the anxiety, numbing yourself to it, prevents you from looking at it and healing from it. And that is doing yourself a disservice. The 7 of birds. You are flying in a direction, but I think you're just following the vibe. You're following what feels good. You're following the direction, but you don't even know where you're going, and I feel like you're probably a little, it's feeling very wishy-washy. It's like, you know you could walk through this door at any time, and you know that you would be welcomed with open arms, and you know that there are people that can help you pass the door. Once you pass the threshold, there are people there to welcome you, to help you. That sounds kind of ominous, but there are people there to welcome you. There are people there to help you. There are people there to help you adjust to your new life, to adjust to the new beginnings. So let that old stuff, let it die, let it end, and then keep going. Okay? Like, it's like you're a snake. Shed your skin and keep going. All of the projections people have put onto you, everything. You can't even see yourself clearly right now. We have the veil. You can't see yourself clearly. You can't see the path clearly. You don't know what's coming. And that scares you. It terrifies you. It keeps you stuck. But I'm telling you, if you just keep going, if you just keep working at it, if you just keep trying, things will improve. Just heard some screaming outside. It might shock you. You might be surprised at how far you make it. You might be surprised at how well you fit in. You might be surprised at how welcomed you are. You might be surprised at how great you are. Because if you're someone who maybe feels like they've lost themselves, maybe the new self that you create is 10 times better than the old one. But you have to work through the stuff. The only way out is through. You can't go over it. You can't go around it. You have to go through it. Let yourself process the emotions. Let yourself get through it. Let yourself take accountability for times when you messed up. It's okay to mess up. Have compassion for yourself. I have compassion for you. I care. I don't know you personally, probably, unless you're a friend of mine watching this. But I care. Have some compassion for yourself because you deserve it. Everybody deserves compassion. Even your worst enemy deserves compassion because maybe they'll heal and get better and then they'll stop terrorizing everybody. Keep working. Eight of trees. Keep working. Plant one tree now, one tree tomorrow, one tree. Like, it's like you're planting your own little garden. Your own little happiness. Just keep planting the trees. Keep watering your garden. Keep watering the seeds. Keep that garden going. And you will thrive. It's your own garden. You'll thrive. You'll be full of nourishment and vegetables and herbs, and you can make all of the like herbal salves and tinctures and teas that you want, and eat all the vegetables and make all the vegetable soup that you want. But yeah, don't be so wishy-washy. You don't have to stay stuck in the desert. Let the water flow. Let that fire out. Speak your mind. Speak up. And there was a honk. I think the honk is confirmation that you need to speak up. That's all I have for y'all today. Let me know if it resonated.